Right, so this video is 3 traps that all preppers should have. Well, in my opinion they should have. So we've got a type of box trap. Now in my opinion you want a bigger box trap than this, but I'm just showing you this one. So a live catch box trap, preferably bigger than this, about the size what would catch rabbits at least, because if it will catch a rabbit it will catch everything smaller, if you know what I mean. A live box trap, rat traps, and a 110 conibear trap, or in the UK they call these BMI Magnum body grip traps. So I'll bring the camera a bit closer and then we'll discuss them a bit more. Right, so as for rat traps, it's probably well worth getting some of these simply because they're dirt cheap. You can get these for, you know, around £1, £1.50, which is nothing really, you know. And you can do a few modifications to these to make them better. And if you mod them in certain ways, you can make them more likely to be able to get squirrels. Definitely a must-have in my opinion. So you could get several animals, including birds, with these types of traps as well. So that's definitely a must-have. And you could buy a load of them and store them away, and that's not going to take up much space. So as for box traps, I definitely think that if you're into prepping, you should have a box trap. Any type would do, but like I said, in my opinion, the bigger the better. Because if you've got one with a light trigger and it will fit, say, the size of a rabbit or maybe cats or something, if it's got a light trigger, it will catch other things as well. But a small one like this will only catch up to maybe a squirrel. And that's just, you know, so that means you're not going to get rabbits in this or cats or anything like that. You're only going to go up to squirrels with this, which is alright, but you know, the bigger the better, as long as it's got a sensitive trigger. And the benefits of that is you catch your animal alive. You do have to dispatch it, but once caught alive, you know it's not going to spoil or go off, if you know what I mean. So as for another one, a must have in my opinion is 110 conibear trap, BMI Magnum body grip trap. Now in my opinion, these are one of the most versatile traps you could ever get. You could set these up in so many different ways, it's unbelievable. And you can do quite a few modifications to these as well. You can change these trigger whiskers into a trigger pan, which I've got a video about that. It normally has 2 triggers, but one of them snapped off, so I need to replace that. And that in itself is quite simple. I've only got to drill this rivet out and replace the wire. So that's another good thing about these. Fixing them up or modifying them is relatively easy with simple tools. And you can change these wires in all different configurations. You can put these on the side of a tree, on the ground, make tunnels with these in the middle, all sorts of different settings for these, and they're relatively easy to use. So in my opinion, that is at least one of these is an absolute must-have if you're a prepper. Get more than one if you can, but if you can only afford one, get one of these definitely. So as with anything, practice is essential. So if you've got a garden, you could use nearly all these traps for at least catching things like rats. And that'll give you some good experience in trapping. If you haven't got access to a garden, maybe you might be able to find someone else who's got a problem with rats or squirrels, and then use these to get a bit of practice in. Just make sure, you know, of your relevant laws of the country you're in, that you can do these. It's probably, well, it's not legal to catch a squirrel in one of these in England. Different countries you may be able to, but not in England. But with this, you can legally use this in England to catch up to squirrels. Now, legally you do have to set these in a tunnel, but when the crap hits the fan, that's all going to go out the window and you can just set these however you like. But when practicing, you're going to need to follow the laws and the procedures of your country or your, you know, county, whatever. The same thing for box traps. So like I said, it doesn't have to be a homemade wooden one. You can get plenty of relatively cheap full metal cage traps, but you need to make sure you've got the right size for the animal if you're going to practice in the meantime trapping. So just do a bit of research, have a look into what you need in your areas. I can't tell, you know, I can't tell people what they got to do in America or Spain or something. I can tell you some of the stuff in England, but you know, so it's best to just look those things up yourself. So like I said, I personally believe it's vital that if you're a prepper you should have at least these 3 types of traps, at the very least. You know, add to this a few more, add to this, snare, wire, but try and learn as much as you can about using them. Because stores are only going to last so long, you know, stores of food. They're not necessarily going to last forever, and this is a good way of supplementing food and adding to it. Same thing for shooting and ammunition. That's only going to last so long and you may not be able to replace it, but once you've got decent traps and you know how to use them, these could potentially last a lot longer. And if you know how to make traps, like a homemade one, and you've got the materials, you can then just keep making traps again and again to keep yourself going with meat. Right, so that's pretty much that. So if you're into long-term, especially long-term survival, you really need to get something like these, in my opinion. Anyway, cheers for watching, and I'll see you later.